In the early hours of the morning, when the world was still shrouded in the soft light of dawn, there was a fisherman named Luis. His life was a simple routine of sea, salt, and solitude. Each day, he would gather his fishing gear, load his small boat onto a trailer, and head towards the river that snaked its way through the lush Amazon. This river, teeming with life, was Luis's haven, his place of escape from the world beyond the green veil of the jungle. On this particular day, Luis felt the familiar pull of the river, a silent promise of tranquility and perhaps a bountiful catch. As he launched his boat into the gentle embrace of the water, a sense of calm settled over him. The river, with its endless mysteries and ancient secrets, welcomed him like an old friend. Luis navigated the familiar channels with ease, the engine's hum a comforting background to the chorus of the jungle awakening around him. Hours passed, the sun climbing higher, casting its golden light through the canopy. Luis's morning had been fruitful, his nets and lines heavy with the river's bounty. Yet it was not enough. The river held a legend, a fish of monstrous size, whispered about in the village with a mix of fear and awe. On this day, Luis's ambition drew him further, deeper into the heart of the Amazon, to waters uncharted in his own expeditions. As the dense jungle pressed closer, the river narrowed, and the air thrummed with the vibrant life of the hidden world. It was here, in this secluded stretch of water, that Luis felt a tug on his line, a force so powerful it sent a thrill of excitement coursing through him. He had heard tales of the giant fish, but to feel its strength on his line, to battle wills with a creature of such primal vigor, was a moment Luis had dreamt of. The struggle was fierce, the fish fighting with a wild desperation that matched the untamed heart of the Amazon itself. Luis leaned into the battle, every muscle tensed, his focus narrowed to the line that connected him to the beast. It was in this moment of intense concentration, of man versus nature, that the unexpected struck. The fish, in a desperate bid for freedom, breached the surface, its massive tail striking Luis with the force of a tempest. The world went dark. Luis awoke to a world transformed. The comforting familiarity of his boat was gone, replaced by the hard, unforgiving ground of the jungle. Above him, the sky was a narrow ribbon of blue, obscured by the dense canopy. As his senses returned, the stark realization hit him. He was no longer alone. Standing around him, their faces painted, spears in hand, were members of a tribe. Their expressions were inscrutable, their presence imposing. Fear, raw and potent, coursed through Luis. He had heard tales of the tribes of the Amazon, people of the forest who lived apart from the modern world, guardians of its secrets. To find himself at their mercy, vulnerable and exposed, was a nightmare brought to life. The tribe spoke no words Luis could understand, their language a melody of sounds that seemed as ancient as the jungle itself. They observed him with a curiosity that did nothing to ease his fear. As they motioned for him to stand, Luis realized he had no choice but to follow. With spears pointed, they led him through the jungle, a maze of green that swallowed him whole. The village they arrived at was a collection of huts nestled in a clearing, a world unto itself. The tribe's members watched him with a mix of curiosity and suspicion as he was brought to the center of the village. There, an elder approached, his presence commanding silence. The air was thick with tension, Luis's heart a relentless drum in his chest. The elder examined him, his gaze piercing, before speaking in a voice that carried the weight of the forest. The words were foreign, but the intent was clear. Luis was an outsider, an intruder in their world. The spears, the painted faces, the unknown language, all of it spun around Luis in a dizzying array of fear and disbelief. He had set out in search of a legend, only to become ensnared in a reality far beyond his wildest fears. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the village, Luis's fate hung in the balance. The tribe, with their ancient customs and inscrutable ways, were now the masters of his destiny. The fisherman who had sought to conquer the river found himself at the mercy of those who called its banks home, his tale of adventure turning into one of survival at the edge of the known world. The night was long, filled with the sounds of the jungle and the murmur of voices. Luis, watched over by the spears of the tribe, felt the weight of his isolation. The Amazon, with its beauty and danger, had drawn him in, only to reveal its true nature in the most unexpected of ways. As dawn broke, bringing light to the village, Luis's story took another turn, one that would lead him through the heart of fear and into the light of understanding. But to find out what fate awaited him, to uncover the resolution of his encounter with the tribe, we must delve deeper into the heart of the Amazon, where every shadow holds a story, and every clearing a new chapter in the tale of the fisherman who was rescued by a tribe. As the first light of dawn pierced the dense canopy, illuminating the village in a soft, ethereal glow, Luis felt the grip of fear loosen slightly around his heart. The night had been a tapestry of strange sounds and shadowy figures, a test of his resolve and sanity. Yet with the arrival of daylight, the village and its inhabitants seemed less menacing, more human. The elder who had examined him the day before approached once again, this time accompanied by a younger tribesperson who carried something in his hands. It was Luis's fishing gear, battered but recognizable. The sight of something familiar in this alien place was a small comfort to Luis. The elder spoke, and although Luis could not understand the words, the meaning was clear when the young tribesperson offered the gear back to him. It was a gesture of peace, a sign that, perhaps, his presence in their midst was not regarded as a threat, but as an opportunity for understanding. Encouraged by this change in their demeanor, Luis attempted to communicate through gestures and the few words of the local language he knew. He mimed the action of fishing, pointing to the gear and then to the river. The villagers watched, intrigued, and after a brief consultation among themselves, a few nodded. It was decided. Luis would be allowed to return to the river under their watchful eyes to demonstrate his craft. Led by the tribespeople to a part of the river he had never seen before, Luis prepared his gear with hands that trembled slightly, not from fear now, but from the weight of the moment. As he cast his line into the clear waters, he felt the eyes of the tribe on him, their curiosity palpable. The river, his once peaceful sanctuary, had become the stage for a pivotal encounter between two worlds. The fish that day seemed to sense the importance of the moment, biting eagerly at Luis's bait. Each catch was met with murmurs of approval from the tribespeople. Through the universal language of fishing, a bridge was being built. Luis, the outsider, was slowly being accepted, his skills and respect for the river resonating with the tribe's own values. As the sun reached its zenith, painting the river in brilliant hues of gold and green, the elder approached Luis once again. This time, the air between them was charged with a newfound respect. With gestures and the few words they could share, the elder conveyed a message. Luis was welcome to fish these waters, but he must do so with mindfulness and gratitude. The river was not just a source of sustenance, it was a sacred part of their world, a lifeblood that connected the tribe with the earth itself. The days turned into weeks, and Luis found himself a guest of the tribe, learning their ways and sharing his own knowledge of the river. The fear that had once gripped him was replaced by a deep sense of belonging and purpose. He was no longer the fisherman who had been rescued by a tribe. He was a member of the community, a bridge between his world and theirs. But the tranquility of this new life was not to last. One day, as Luis prepared to join a fishing expedition, the village was startled by the sound of an engine, a sound alien to the symphony of the jungle. A group of developers, armed with plans to exploit the river and its surroundings, had arrived. The threat to the tribe's way of life was immediate and undeniable. Luis, with his understanding of both worlds, found himself at the center of the conflict, a mediator in a battle for the soul of the Amazon. With the tribe behind him, Luis confronted the developers, using his knowledge of the law and the land to argue for the protection of the river. It was a struggle, a test of wills that drew on all of Luis's courage and newfound understanding of what truly mattered. In the end, through a combination of diplomacy and the undeniable truth of the tribe's connection to the land, the developers were persuaded to abandon their plans. Luis's role in saving the river and the village solidified his place within the tribe. He had arrived as an outsider, a man lost in his pursuit of a legend, only to find a deeper truth, a purpose that transcended the mere act of fishing. The Amazon, with its dangers and wonders, had become his home, a place where two worlds met and found a common ground in the shared respect for the natural world. The fisherman who was rescued by a tribe had become a guardian of the river, a symbol of the possibility of coexistence and mutual respect. His story, a testament to the power of empathy and understanding, would be told by the fireside, a reminder of the day when two worlds collided and found peace in the flowing waters of the Amazon.